Okay, we're a little behind schedule. In fact, we're a lot behind schedule. So we're going to have to skip over the governor's roundtable and hope that we can fit it in at the end of the meeting tomorrow. Next, we have second read proposed amendments to WISBA bylaws, Article 4, rescope of BOG Legislative Committee. We have Governor Williams Ruth and Chief Communications Officer Sarah Nagowski. This is on page 109 of your materials. Governor Williams Ruth. Go.
So so it's second read, move to approve?
Anybody want further explanation of what this is all about? Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to amend the bylaws, Article 4, read the scope of BOG Legislative Committee. Would anybody like Governor Williams Ruth to elaborate?
Yes.
Okay. Governor Williams Ruth, could you elaborate and let people know what this is all about?
I would be glad to. This is a second read of a bylaw amendment that gives the Board Legislative Committee the ability to address court rule recommended changes. If you look on page 116 of the PDF, you'll see the one line, blue line. It's officially called the red line version, but it's in blue underline. That just adds the words, the BOG Legislative Committee is authorized to review and approve proposed comments to court rules so long as the deadline for submission is before the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Governors. And this is to address the issues of when a deadline comes up and somebody wants to submit, but there's no way to, without the time and expense of having this special meeting of the Board of Governors. And so that's where this came from. This was a journey that began back in February, early March, and here's where we are.
I see Nancy Hawkins has her hand up.
Thank you.
Followed by Governor Adwale.
Oh, there we go. The family law section believes that sections should be allowed to submit rules comments directly to the Washington Supreme Court without having to go through the legislative committee process. The materials in your BOG materials on this topic say that there's a difference between rules comments or rules changes comments and legislative comments, because the Washington Supreme Court understands the difference between entities of the Bar Association, and we agree. And as such, we feel that sections should be able to make their comments, identifying themselves as a section and making comments on proposed rules changes. We are not convinced that there is something to be added by going through the legislative committee process. We are not concerned if two sections provide differing comments, because again, the Washington Supreme Court understands the difference between entities. And so we would ask that what gets passed instead is something that allows sections to comment directly without going through that extra step.
Thank you very much. Governor Adewale, you don't have your hand up.
No, I
No?
just wanted to say thank you to
Oh.
Governor Williams-Root for answering my question.
Okay, thanks. Governor Stevens.
Thank you. And this may be a question actually for General Counsel. So my question is, just hearing from Ms. Hawkins for a minute. What is the current state of sections commenting on court rules? Do they have to come to the Board of Governors first, or are they otherwise going direct? And I'm asking that question based on what I heard from Ms. Hawkins, that we're kind of I think cleaning up something, at least with an entity that came to the legislative committee, because the board wasn't there. So I just need to know what the story is as relates to court rules and whether sections have to come to the BOG or can go direct.
Great.
I understood what Ms. Hawkins said.
President Tollefson, can I respond?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So the policy is not entirely clear, but the bylaws read as a whole make it clear that sections are not authorized to speak for the WISBA. Sections are a part of the WISBA. Section speech is WISBA speech. So the problem was that then the requirement was that sections had to go to the BOG meeting before they could comment on a court rule. And as you know, the BOG meets about every other month, and the comment deadlines fall in between the board meetings. So we had a policy that said that the sections could go to the Ledge Committee. And then when we looked back, we found that the bylaws relatively explicitly didn't allow that. There was nothing in the bylaws that gave the Ledge Committee that authority. And it was pretty clear that the Ledge Committee did have authority to review legislative comments, but there was nothing in it, and it sort of ended there. And so this was a fix to that, to make it clear that the bylaws contain the authority necessary to enact the policy, the BOG's policy.
Yeah, but what I'm really asking, at least, you know, from what I thought I just heard from Ms. Hawkins, and maybe she was actually advancing what sections want to be able to do, was otherwise sections wouldn't have to come to the Board of Governors to comment on court rules.
So I think that would take a change to both the BOG policy and perhaps the bylaws to make it clear that sections are authorized to speak directly. Now, you know, right. So I heard Ms. Hawkins say, I think, two things. Sections should be able to go directly to the court. That, I think, is a policy determination for the board, right? Do you as a board believe it is, you know, acceptable? Do you want it as a policy for sections to comment on court rules, sections being a part of the WISBA? So you would be authorizing them to speak essentially on behalf of WISBA to court rules without your review, and potentially without your knowledge. However, I'm not really clear that's true. And maybe Nancy Hawkins could speak to that, because I suspect that sections likely would copy you on their comments. I do not in any way mean to suggest that they would sneak around behind your back. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The second thing I think she said was, and Nancy, you're going to have to correct me if I've gotten this all wrong, is that, you know, there is at least a perceived need to speak with one voice when speaking to the legislature, so they're not confused about who is and is not WISBA. And the court knows exactly who is and is not WISBA and who is and is not a section. And so there is a much lower need, you know, to help the court understand it. And in fact, there might be a lesser need to speak with one voice, because court rules are well within GR 12. They are germane to what the Bar Association does, sort of because, and it probably makes sense that different sections would have differing opinions on court rules that may not apply to legislation, but it seems reasonable to apply to court rules. So that's what I heard. Did I answer your question that time?
Sort of. I have other questions. Thanks anyway. Thanks.
Former President, former Governor Shichetti.
Thank you, President Collison. I'm thinking back to my 2 years as chair of the BOG Legislative Committee and 3 years altogether, and I don't remember us ever having this issue pop up. So I imagine it's a rare circumstance, in an unusual circumstance. My only concern with this is, and I took a picture of it here so I could read it, but it says that they're authorized to review and approve proposed amendments so long as the deadline for submission is before the next regularly scheduled meeting. So what's to prevent a small group on the legislative committee from waiting until, there's no time left and there's not a BOG meeting, and then decide, we know this is not going to pass the majority, so we can do it now because the next BOG meeting is not until after the deadline. Is there any safeguard against that?
I think I know that Governor Stevens has his hand up. Do you have your hand up again?
Yes, I do, but
Okay.
this may be something for Governor Williams-Ruth or somebody else in terms of.
Okay, I wanted to let
Shicchetti's.
our executive director speak. She's kind of like next up in the queue.
Yep.
And mine is responsive from my perspective. I think it's not all that rare. I think part of why you may not have seen it in the past is I think in the last couple of years, we've tried to step up our efforts to monitor what is coming out for proposed court rules and actively push out to sections and other entities like the Council on Public Defense. Here's a court rule that's relevant to your expertise. Would you like to comment? So I think as we've done that more and more, I think there is a higher volume and we have seen it happen. I also want to say, I don't know that there is a safeguard from an entity waiting until the last minute. However, I also don't know that I would want one because my experience in working with sections and entities is that just like us, they have a regular meeting schedule, they struggle to get quorum. And I think more often, if things wait till the last minute, it's because it took us a week to read the thing and it took us 2 weeks to tell them. And then it took them 3 weeks to decide what they wanted to do. And then they had to schedule a meeting. And so I just think I wouldn't want to make it too difficult. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
So Governor Stevens, you wanted Governor Williams-Ruth to answer a question. Is that?
Well, no, I didn't know if this went to him because I have another question for the executive director and the
Okay,
general counsel.
you're up.
Okay, so here's my question, and actually, Executive Director Nevitt, I think you've opened something that I want to understand. So one of the ways that we're making sure that people have the opportunity to make comments on court rules is, in fact, the staff is providing information to, for example, sections or other entities where it's within their charter. And my question is, and when we do that, and then let's say that section or that entity wants to comment, okay, what's the process as it relates to the Board of Governors, or can they go direct?
Okay, I think I understood the question. So the current process is they have to come to the Board of Governors.
Okay. All right. So then, as I'm understanding this, and that's why I wanted to get this in alignment, given what I thought I heard Ms. Hawkins say, but if currently they have to come to the Board of Governors before they make the comment, even if we invited them to take a look to help just manage time and everything else. This would not be, what's being proposed would not be an impediment from what they already do, but in fact is a way that they can go to, for example, the legislative committee, because the comment has to happen by X date, and the Board of Governors is not meeting until Y date after the comment period. Okay, thanks.
Anybody else have their hand up? Want to weigh in on this? No? Do you have any final words from anybody? No? I guess that means we're ready to vote. Could I have the executive director go ahead and read the motion again that was seconded?
The motion is for approval of the proposed amendment to WISBA bylaws Article 4 regarding the scope of the BOG Legislative Committee.
Governor Abell,
Aye.
Governor Adwale, Governor Angelville,
Aye.
Governor Boyd,
Aye.
Governor Clark, Governor Couch, Governor Dresden,
Aye.
Governor Higginson, Governor McBride,
Aye.
Governor Peterson,
Yes.
Governor Pertzer, Governor Siani, Governor Stevens,
Aye.
Governor Williams-Ruth.
Aye.
Well, everybody who voted aye, so it's unanimous. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people not voting. So the motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Governor Stevens.
if I may, just I want to thank Governor Williams-Ruth for shepherding this through, as he was chair of the legislative committee when this issue actually came before us before. So thank you, Governor Williams-Ruth.